In the middle of the original IDW run on Transformers, IDW and Hasbro teamed up and let the fans build a Transformers character. The end result was the character known as Windblade. She has been very popular for a little while, although lately she kind of has taken a backseat to characters like RC and Alita 1. But if you're anything like me, you've been looking for a really good, almost a perfect representation of Windblade for your shelf. There is a new Windblade that has just come out in the Transformers Legacy United line of Transformers, and I picked her up, and I'm going to compare her to the Transformers Titans Return Windblade in order to find out which is better. Hey, I'm Dan from the Rock Nerd Radio Show, and let's see if we can't figure this out.
Come geek out with us on the Rock Nerd Radio Show.
As always, the first round on which is better is about the paint and overall appearance of the figures, and because these are Transformers, we are starting out in our vehicle mode, our alternate mode. And for Windblade, she turns into a jet, which is fine. Looking at these two figures, there is a bit of size difference between these jets. Now, in the grand scheme of things, they actually line up to be very close in size, but there are some differences between them. The wings on my new one, the Legacy United one, are a little bit smaller when compared to the Titans Return one here in my left hand. They do have their weapons on. I'm going to talk about that as to why I have their weapons on in just a moment. But you can see that, certain parts on each of these kind of blend in better. If you're looking at this Windblade, at either of these Windblades, you can tell that the legs form the back of the jet. But I feel like the Legacy United one, the legs kind of fold in, look a little better when compared to the Titans Return one. Also, while you can see Windblade's hands here on the Legacy United one, they are hidden somewhat well. They do tab in kind of nicely to these little posts, whereas my Titans Return one, they're just hanging out here. You can just kind of see them hanging off. It just looks like two arms hanging off the back of the jet. So there is that. They both have landing gear in the front, which is kind of nice, but if you look at the underside of the figure, you can kind of tell that, yeah, there is a robot body kind of hidden under there. I also think that the Legacy United one, the turbines here are painted, which looks a little nicer than just all black. They are bigger on my Titans Return ones, and just like as you may have expected, the turbines do move, so you can move them around to your heart's content. I do have the weapons on these figures to kind of show the weapon integration for the figures. Our Legacy United Windblade has a sword that almost looks like a smoke effect, a blast effect, as if she is blasting off, which is integrated nicely. Whereas the swords on the Titans Return one, they're just kind of stuck there to the figure. That's just what they look like. But let's transform Windblade and compare the robot modes. And now we have both of these Windblades in their robot modes. And the Legacy United one, I haven't said it yet, but it is based on Windblade's appearance in the Cyberverse cartoon, which I thought was a very fun cartoon. So it does look a little more angular and maybe a little streamlined towards an animation look, especially a specific type of animation. But I don't think it looks bad. The blues on it really pop. We have some nice highlights on her wrists, her knee pads, along her chest. And the wings can actually move they can articulate back, but also up and down. So you can really get your own look for Windblade out of this figure, however you see fit. I will admit there is a bit of a backpack on this figure. It is held on by just a friction peg, so you could kind of yank the thing off if you wanted to. You can fold the nose cone up like this, or you could just leave it down as well if you want. That's going to be, your mileage is going to vary there. This Windblade is, I guess, based more on the IDW comic art. It was a product of the time. So for Titans Return, because they all kind of had square heads, because all their heads became little robots, you can see this head is a little more square. And the robot is a little boxy. It doesn't quite have the angles that the Legacy United one has. But the Legacy United one also has, I feel like, just some nicer details, especially there on the shins. These are just kind of black with a little bit of indentation. These are silver with some nice sculpted lines on them. We have the knee pads moving up. Even their bodies, just their lower abdomens. This is gray with some nicely sculpted focus details. This is just kind of black with, still some details. I guess the Titans Return one has a more pronounced chest. I feel weird saying that, but it's true. They have the wings on their hands, but again, her arms have a little more decoration going on than this one. I also feel like her shoulder pads they're not as colorful as the Titans Return one. This one has black and red, where these are just red. But I feel like they move a little nicer. As I said, these wings, while smaller, I can get more posability out of these. While these, I can really just go forward and backwards with. I can't move them up or down. And again, she does have a rather large backpack as well, since I was talking about the backpacks. So that leads me to the question of which one do I think wins round one of my paint and overall appearance. And it's going to go to the Legacy United Windblade. I think this just looks like a bit of a more fun figure. Round 2 is the articulation round, and the Titans Return Windblade will start down here at the feet. There are no ankle tilts, but you do get some toe movement, I guess mostly because of transformation. In terms of the knee, it is a deep bend. Again, a lot of it because transformation, but it does bend very deeply. The legs themselves, as you can see, can kick out even higher than just like 90 degrees, and they can kick out like that as well. We do have thigh rotation, nothing at the waist. The head here this is kind of on a ball joint, so you get some movement on it. There's a very small, essentially robot head inside of a hole here in her stomach and at the top of her neck, which kind of allows for that movement. It's honestly, I don't know if mine's just older, if it's always been like that, but it does get a little loose. In terms of the arms, we have just about full 360 rotation. The wings get in the way a little bit, but elbow bend for just about 90 degrees. We do have bicep swivel. Arms can also go out that much, and due to transformation, they can go down. I don't know why you'd want her arms to be that low, but that is something you can do if you want. As I said, the wings, bit of a bonus. We do have wing articulation. Only move forward and back on the figure. Let's look at the Legacy United one. So bringing her in, we'll start at the feet. There is ankle pivot, which is nice. There is toe up down, so that's nice too. At the knee, we have just about 90 degrees of bend. You can get more if you kind of disconnect the back of the boot here because of the way it transforms. So there is that. We have some thigh rotation, not quite as much as the Titans Return one, but that's because of the way it's done. It's kind of done to hide the articulation point. So yeah, that's why that's there. But she does kick out pretty far forward, forward, backwards as well, to the side, very high to the side. This Windblade does have waist articulation. The head is on a ball joint, but this does sit a little better, so you get all kinds of movement there. Actually, you get a lot more like looking up movement. In terms of the arms, we do get a full 360 around. Again, the wings get in the way, but they're there. We do have bicep swivel, a little less than 90 degree elbow bend. She does have articulated hands though, or wrists. So you can turn her wrists, which is nice. And then for the wings, we get up and down, like I said before, and we get back and forth. So just thinking about how much articulation my Legacy United one has, she's going to be the winner of round 2. Round 3 is about the accessories that the figure comes with, and the Titans Return Windblade came with these 2 swords that you see her holding. Now, Windblade was always kind of drawn as having swords, but they were normally purple. So the Titans Return one came out, and we have these yellow and gray painted swords. It's what she has. There's another thing that they do we'll get to in a minute, but I guess because she's a Titan Returns figure, we do get to count the head because it is an additional robot. It's a headmaster, Titan Master. Only downside is that those are very easy to lose, and if I lose these swords, I would still have a complete figure. If I lose the head, I have a headless figure, which might not be that great, or might not be what everybody wants. The swords can come out of her hands, and they do combine as the Titans Return weapons normally did. You could have it as like a double blade kind of thing, but also it could be like a double sword vehicle for the smaller Titan Masters to ride. I never quite understood the play pattern, but it is there. There is weapon storage because of these tabs here on the swords. If you wanted to just port them onto her wings, like I had in vehicle mode, you can. There's a little tab there on the wings, and you can just kind of plop them in so that they are there if you don't want her holding these. But they're a little large, they're a little weird looking. They honestly aren't my favorite accessory, but I guess they were good for the time. The Legacy United Windblade does come with this sword that has some purple energy to it. Now, it is an energy sword, at least that's how it was depicted in the Cyberverse cartoon. So having this not being quite like a straight blade, but having it look like energy, I'm okay with it. The way it integrates into vehicle mode as being like a blast effect, I think is also very good. And just because Windblade is normally drawn with a purple sword, I do like this. Her fan here on her head also comes as a separate accessory that you can plug in, and she could wield as a weapon. I can't get it back out now that I've plugged it in. A bit of a downside there. But looking at these two figures, let me get the Titan's Return one back out real quick. Here we go. So looking at these two figures, as I said, Windblade was normally drawn with a purple energy sword. So the Cyberverse one, or my Legacy United one, is going to be the winner of round 3, just because I really like that style sword, as opposed to whatever the heck they were going for with Titan's Return. The 4th round is the price and availability round. If you're looking for a Titan's Return Windblade, first off, you're going to have to find her online. She was rare when she came out. I was lucky to get a pre-order in. But these days, she sells complete. So I'm talking with head and the accessories from anywhere between $50 and $80. Mostly if she's on card, you're going to be looking at that higher end $80 of things. The new Legacy United Windblade will cost you about $25. She's popping up on store shelves. I got mine from Amazon. I was really surprised at how quick she got here, actually. So not even so much about how readily you can get these, but just at the price, my Legacy United Windblade is going to win this round, because 25 is a little easier to swallow than anywhere between 50 to 80. My final round, round 5, is about my display compatibility. If you've watched this channel before, and if you look at literally the background behind you, you know that I often say I only buy G1 Transformers. I only buy things influenced by Generation 1. And Windblade definitely was not created during the 80s, the original era Generation 1 of Transformers. But she was incorporated into the comics well enough where it was, the Gen 1 based IDW comics. She was done well enough where I grew to really like the character, and I wanted her on my shelf. So I have her on a comic only shelf with characters like Drift and Impactor. And I feel like she's one that I definitely want on my shelf, but I don't necessarily need like the perfect comic one. In fact, if I were to bring in another character that Windblade has been known to kind of hang around with, let's bring in Bumblebee. If you watched the Cyberverse show, this is appropriate. But like putting Bumblebee next to either one of these, it looks good. I mean, you put her next to the Titans, or you put Bumblebee next to the Titan's Return Windblade, and they look like they kind of belong together. You put Bumblebee next to the Legacy Evolution Windblade, and sure, she's a little stylized, but they don't look terribly different together. So really, it comes down to just which one would I rather have on my shelf. And with the way Transformers have been going lately, with the way the engineering and the style of these figures has been going, and the this almost mini masterpiece kind of vibe we get from them, I gotta give my display compatibility award to the Legacy United Windblade. Sure, it's not an exact G1 design. Sure, it's based on an animation, but it kind of gives her just better proportions, in my opinion. Her legs are a little bulkier. She stands a little better. Honestly, it hasn't happened while I've been filming, but every time I cut and kind of reset up, this one falls down. She's given me no problem standing up. I can move her in a lot of dynamic poses, or I can just have her standing on a shelf and looking cool. So this Windblade, the Legacy United one, is going to win round 5. And just completely annihilating, stabbing this one right through the chest, the Legacy United Windblade wins on this version of which is better. Not trying to say the Titans Return one is a bad figure, but honestly, for my display, I think I'm ready for a little bit of a different looking Windblade. Something that has some cool design features to it, so that's why she wins. Hey, let me know what you think about this Windblade figure. Do you even like Windblade? Leave a comment below, let me know. And until next time, I've been Dan, you've been pretty awesome. I'll see you around.
Come geek